Over the past couple years in the CS2 markets, one of the biggest stories and some of the biggest movers have been the OG gloves and everything to do with them. I'm talking about the cases, the skins, the gloves themselves. They've all gone insane over the past couple years. But so far in 2026, yeah, we're only like 9 days in, whatever. But so far, one of the trends of 2026 and one of the big stories has been the underperformance and, kind of the downward movement of the OG gloves and everything to do with them. You can see this tweet here from Tea with Milk, where they show that, these gloves down 14%, these gloves down 11%, down 10%, down 10%, down 9%, down 9%. So many gloves crashing to start the year. So what the heck is going on? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video today. So I want to take a look at this chart at the beginning from SteamDT. This is obviously the kind of place that shows the Chinese prices of the CS2 market. It gives us like graphs, charts, all that stuff for the Chinese market rates of all the different items. This is a section that is just the glove prices. You can see here, this is just the gloves market. And this is a day by day kind of chart. And you can see obviously here, I don't know why the green is down and the red is up. It's kind of backwards, whatever, but just bear with me. You can see we had this massive drop. Now this is obviously the retakes update in October of 2025 where we saw this massive drop off. But since then, glove prices have actually been slowly climbing back up. You can see into November, we went a little bit higher. Into December, we went a little bit higher. And then we peaked around December 10th. And since December 10th, or, somewhere in there, kind of towards the middle of December, we've just kind of gone down and down and down and down and down. Again, you can see here, we started 2026 around this level here. And we're even down from then. We went up a little bit to start the year and we've gone down. So lots of gloves have been kind of going down for a month straight. And obviously, this can be for a multitude of reasons, and this can have a lot of other causes and reasons and stuff like that as well. Right now the gloves are interlinked with the cases, are interlinked with the coverts, are interlinked with the skins below them, are interlinked with the golds that, they trade into. There's so many moving parts here. The cases can be getting pumped or dumped or manipulated or just kind of going up and down naturally. The gloves can be going down, up and down naturally. The covert, like there's a lot. It's very, very, very complicated, but you can see that for the past month, these things have been going down, and it's maybe even starting to increase a little bit as well. And people are kind of wondering, when is the bottom going to be in? When are we finally going to find the bottom here? Again, Olaf tweets out this. He said, why the fuck did all of my reds crash today? Because again, obviously, the SSG Dragonfire, this is going to be one of the coverts inside of the glove case. This has been one of the coverts that has had just an insane skyrocketing up in price. I don't know if we can actually pull this up or not. I thought it would let me click on this, but it doesn't let me click on it. But anyway, it's had an insane graph. It's gotten insanely expensive, but now apparently it's been dropping recently. And again, that's because the glove case has been dropping. That's because a lot of the gloves have been dropping. This stuff all kind of moves in tandem. So even though, the Dragonfire is still a very, very valuable item, and it's still has, the supply is probably being wiped out very, very, very quickly by people doing all these crazy trade ups and stuff like that. You see a new content creator doing some kind of $10,000, gold trade up or whatever every single day. There's all this stuff going on. But the first thing that I think you really need to take away from all this is that a red hot market is eventually going to slow down. Things go up and down. And again, that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying a red hot market eventually has to crash or eventually has to fizzle out or whatever. I'm not saying that the growth in gloves or the growth in the coverts or the growth in glove cases or anything like that is dead. I still own a lot of glove cases myself. I still really, really believe in the future of glove cases, but all things go up and down. Nothing goes straight up forever. And the more volatilely you go up and the more vertically you go up and the quicker you start pulling those future gains up, you're going to have downward periods. You're going to have more, kind of the velocity of those downward periods, the viciousness of those downward periods is going to be stronger. So yes, over the past couple of years and more specifically the last year, we saw the glove case. We saw, the coverts inside the glove case. We saw the gloves themselves go absolutely insane, both ways. Obviously during the retake update, we saw them go insanely down, but they've had insane growth over the past couple of years. So there's going to be downward times. And yeah, people investing in these items, glove case investors, they haven't had a downward period in years, or, it's pretty much just been straight up. It's been the easiest, most consistent money out there in the markets. So now, once things are finally starting to go down a little bit, like, hey, maybe people are a little bit confused or, think things are strange or whatever, or maybe you bought in recently and now you're just down really, really bad. But again, you're looking too much into short-term market movements. You can't buy something for a week or a month or 2 months or whatever and expect to have gains right away. Like, you got to zoom out. And if you've held this stuff for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you're up insanely. So I don't know. That's something to keep in mind there. But yes, we are seeing not only the gloves crashing, not only the glove case crashing. Again, here's what the glove case looks like over the past month. This is pretty crazy. A month ago, the glove case was $36. Now it's down to $23. It's just kind of been pretty much every couple of days going a little bit lower every couple of days since since I guess the beginning of December. Every couple of days, just going down a couple bucks, and then again here, even dropping another like $4 over the past couple of days, even getting another big slope. So the bleeding has not stopped yet. The glove case has fallen minus 25% in value over the last month, going from $36 to $27. Again, it's gotten even worse. I thought this was just kind of a funny tweet from Mr. Stabby because this is something that's always going around. Again, some of the most common buzzwords being thrown around in the CS markets these days are going to be market manipulation, pumping down from China, all this stuff, but also insider trading, insider knowledge, all of that. Mr. Stabby saying insiders know a new glove case is on the way. And that's something a lot of people have always talked about. This is not something I'm as worried about, especially, now with the kind of gold trade up update and people needing like those skins to trade up into the OG golds and stuff like that and the OG gloves. People have always said like, oh, if we do get new gloves or we get cool new gloves that have really big demand, like that could really, hurt the value of the glove case and some of those OG gloves and stuff like that. And again, I don't necessarily believe that. Like those OG gloves, they are what they are. They're always going to be insanely rare. There's still some that are going to be always insanely desirable and people are going to like them a lot. Could, some of the top tier price values come down a little bit? Yeah. But again, they're still old. They're still rare. They're still going to be low supply. And any new stuff we get is still going to be such massive supplies. Modern items, it's really hard to get rare stuff just because there's so many players and so many ways to get items and so much money in the market and stuff like that. So there will always be demand and a certain charm and a certain whatever to the glove case and the OG gloves and all this different stuff. So it's not really something I'm worried about. So I don't think the glove case going down is, insider trading and then people know new glove case on the way, because that's not even exactly what I think would happen. But also Moonfighter made a very, very interesting point. I thought this was funny, but again, I also don't read too much into what Moonfighter says either, because yes, he is a big person in the scene. He obviously knows people and has connections and stuff like that, but he's also like a top tier rage baiter on Twitter and always likes, this kind of karma farming, engagement farming, whatever. And he said, I said that once before and I'm going to say it again. There's a reason they updated preview icons of the gloves. And that's honestly not something I've heard people talk about as much as like, yeah, why did they decide to update those icons for the gloves? Like one, I think they made the new icons a little bit weird. Like they're kind of freaky. Like the fingers look a little bit weird. It doesn't really look normal. I don't know. But also why would they have put that time into that unless, maybe they're doing something with the gloves coming soon? Again, is it going to be gloves inside of terminals? Is it going to be gloves inside of the armory? Is it going to be gloves inside of a new case? Like, I don't know. Could that be coming soon? Sure. But again, would that necessarily be a reason for the glove case and OG gloves and, the SSG Dragonfire to be crashing in price? No, not necessarily. I don't really think so. But here is maybe a little bit better of an idea of what is going on. Now, again, of all the CS personalities, of all the CS YouTubers and people on Twitter and Discord and Reddit and all that stuff, I'm one of the least believers in, the Chinese market manipulators and all that, blah, blah, blah. I know there's a lot of people who are cosplaying as Chinese market manipulators on Twitter and Discord and Reddit and faking stuff, and, they just want attention, whatever. Obviously, there are some big players in the Chinese markets. There's some very, very rich people. And again, I've even gone through CS Flow, and you can see there's Chinese accounts buying up stuff in $10s, $20s, $50,000 at a time. It's insane. Again, are those market manipulators? Are those investors? It's hard to tell and whatever. We don't know what their intentions are necessarily at the end of the day. There is market manipulation going on at certain points. There are pump and dump groups, sure, but there are just as many fake ones and people, again, just kind of engagement farming and stuff like that. But Lychee says here, after Win King announced during last night's live stream, again, Win King's this like big guy over in China, that he would be temporarily pausing the push on first-gen gloves, retail sentiment quickly turned bearish. As a result, first-gen gloves saw a sharp sell-off last night, which was then rapidly repaired. However, as the news spread across the community, panic resurfaced, triggering another wave of selling in first-gen gloves. This dragged the overall market index down to around the 1222, with a non-negligible risk of a further breakdown below this level. Hold cash, plenty of opportunities ahead. Focus on oversold items and those that remain structurally strong. Only accounts with total exposure above 20K should even consider adding first-gen gloves. And again, I've never been a gold investor. I've never been somebody saying, hey, you should be investing in gloves. I've never somebody who said, hey, gloves are a good investment. That's never really been the case. And then once again, after the retake update, gloves become even a worse investment. So I was never investing in gloves before the retake update. I would never really invest in gloves after. This stuff that affects gloves, like I said, that is going to affect the glove case. That is going to affect the coverts. And I do think, some of the trade up skins and the cases and stuff like that obviously are investment grade. So I don't know. This does become really, really strange, that again, apparently they're moving on or they're pausing the push on first gen gloves. Doesn't say they're giving up on first gen gloves. Maybe they're going to start a pump again. Again, I've never concerned myself with what the people over in China have been saying. Again, if you just focus on buying the right stuff with good fundamentals, holding it with a reasonable time horizon, purchasing it at reasonable prices, you will be able to make money in the CS2 markets. I have no doubt about that. Certain times your items will get pumped because of China. Certain times your items will get dumped because of China. But if you just zoom out, like their effects are in the short term. Their effects are not on the long-term growth of like the true investment tier items. This is not really stuff that I care about that much. But again, Lychee is also saying this is also the reason why the glove case is dropping. So he is explaining the things that are going on in China right now and why China is, maybe giving up or pausing their push on the first generation gloves right now. And that's maybe why we're seeing a slowdown, not only in the glove prices, but again, in the glove case skin prices and in the glove cases themselves. So again, I don't really know how much you read into that. But if I was just going to look at the charts, I would say, the glove case has been on an absolute tear coming into 2025. The glove case, this is insane. The glove case was $9, $8 at the beginning of 2025, and it got all the way up to $35. So, this thing's 7x'd in a year, and now it's down a little bit. Like I already said, something that goes up 7x in a year, it's going to have ups and downs. It's going to give up some of those gains. And even if this is them giving up on first-gen gloves or pausing the pump or whatever, again, this would still put us at a 3x for the glove case in the last 365-ish days. So it's not like the glove case has all of a sudden been a bad investment or they've crashed the market on or anything like that. Like, again, the glove case is still holding its upward trajectory, holding its upward slope just fine. If anything, seems like a normal move down to kind of getting it back on track to its normal thing, because it can't go up 7x every single year forever. Again, eventually that slope has to flatten out. So if it's up 7x, but it needs to get to like a 1x or a less than 1x kind of chart, it's going to have to come back down. So again, maybe this was China, maybe it's not, maybe it's just a normal market movement and China's trying to take credit for it. Who knows? But that's some of the things that are being said out there in the markets right now. But again, all we know for sure is that yes, we are seeing glove prices, glove case prices and the skins inside of them dropping pretty drastically. I don't know. I still don't necessarily think these are like screaming buy right now. Usually I would be all about buying the dip and stuff like that. But again, the gains we've seen on the glove case are still so massive. I don't think buying the dip on glove case or glove case coverage or anything like that is ever a bad idea. But there's probably better opportunities out there in the market right now. I don't really know. But yeah, that's kind of the big story to start the year in 2026 that I had to make for my first video back. So happy to be back. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.